In this video, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Pulp, which is a set of wargaming rules at the skirmish level set in the glorious, fun world of the Pulps created by little old me. And so I cannot review it, obviously, but I can give you a general overview. You may know from some of my videos that I have this unusual relationship with miniature wargaming, which is that I really like the gaming involved, the aspect of moving miniatures in real space with all of the tactical opportunities and possibilities that implies. But I'm not particularly interested in the hobby aspect, so I do not enjoy building and painting miniatures or terrain, for example. And because of that, I usually play war games of this kind with very simple paper miniatures that I just assemble very easily. I cut them and I put them on a plastic stand. And also for that reason, I usually play solo because I don't want to offend the aesthetic sensibilities of players who spend all their time building those miniatures, and they want to enjoy that, and I understand that. So it was around 2016, and I wanted to play a game well set in the world of the pulps. I wanted a skirmish game that was simple, quick, and fun, but also still with some tactical depth. And I looked at some rule sets, and I couldn't find one that really captured what I wanted to play, and so I ended up creating my own. So I created my own set of rules, which I was playing solitaire all the time. And you can find online on Board Game Geek some pictures that they took back in the day of some of those solo games, and so you see what it looked like, some of those early scenarios. You can also see one of my kids in the background. She doesn't look at all like that anymore. So I was just playing this game solo, and I really enjoyed it, and I was playing it solo two-handed because the game has a lot of unpredictability, thanks especially to the activation system. And so, as I was playing both sides at the best of my possibilities and creating crazy scenarios, I was having a good time. And again, there were constant tactical puzzles that emerged from the fact that the characters did not necessarily activate the way that I expect them to. Then I started showing it to some of my friends who also liked it very much. Then life was busy and I kind of forgot about it for a while until maybe 2 years ago, maybe it was the pandemic. And I remember, well, there's that game that I enjoyed, and my friends enjoyed it also. Why don't I show it to somebody? And Osprey liked it, and so here we go. And I'm happy that now those rules that were just a bunch of jotted down notes for me, now they have the form of a really nice book with stunning art that is just amazing. And I'm also happy that I can share that with other people, since again, everybody I played the game with was really happy with the game. So, just some example of the art that I think it really helps setting the stage and setting the mood. Because ultimately, you need to create your own game based on these rules and based on these ideas. So the game is perfectly playable solitaire two-handed. As I receive my copy, I look at the back, I see that it is also being marketed for cooperative play, and that is simply incorrect. The game is not suitable for cooperative play. It wasn't designed that way, so I don't know why the back of the book says that. That being said, now since this expectation has been created, we're working with Osprey to create a set of rules, an AI basically, so that you can play the game solo against the automaton, and because of that you can also play cooperative. You share different units, you share your own squad, and the AI will control the enemy squad. And I'm hoping that these rules will be available soon, and I'm also hoping that we can release them as a free expansion. You can just download that. There's also some materials that I had prepared originally. It was a mini campaign that didn't make it into this printed book, and I hope we can put that in so you can have a nice free expansion with the solitaire rules in a mini campaign. So, general idea, it's a system to play adventure set in the crazy world of the pulps. So first thing, I wanted to have some bigger than life heroes and some good henchmen and sidekicks of the heroes, and then some run of the mill helpers, and then the occasional person who just steps in and doesn't and is not around for long. Maybe that person is wearing a red shirt, you know. So the characters are rated based on skill, which will allow them to do things a lot more often, and then activation, which represents again their awareness, so how likely they are to get a full activation when they activate. By the way, I'm not going to give you a full tutorial, I just want to give you a general overview of some of the main concepts. So you set up your scenario, and this rulebook gives you 12 general outlines. So basically you have 12 scenarios for which I give you the setup, the structure, the rules, the flow, the victory conditions. So everything but the setting, because I thought you may want to choose if that scenario takes place in a jungle, in a volcano, in the mad scientist lab. And the rosters, because again, I thought maybe you want to choose the kind of miniatures that you have. So you have 12 scenarios in which you got everything you get to given to you by the rules, and you just add the setting and rosters. And then there are 2 full scenarios that give you everything, including the setting and the rosters. But again, I mean those mainly to help you get a sense of what the game can be. Like, oh no, Escape from New Rome, I don't have the kind of, oh no, that's in it, the Garden of the Thousand Sorrows, but I have the right miniatures. Change it, do something else. These are mainly examples for you to create your own. This, I hope, is going to be your own game as much as it is mine. Because again, coming up with the scenarios was one of the most fun things as I was playing the game by myself, and I hope that that is something that I can share with you. So, you create your own rosters with heroes, villains, henchmen, sidekicks, and then other kind of helpers. And these models are organized in units. Heroes and villains and some of the henchmen are one model unit. And most of the units, however, are multi-models, so 2, 3 of these people. And I really want to get the sense that units that train together and stay together are more likely to be tactically aware and more likely to give each other support and morale boosts, and so they're more likely to be more effective. What does it mean? During the main turn, players will alternate activating units that haven't activated yet. And you take a check, an activation check, to see if the units, the models in the unit receive a full activation or a partial activation. If your units are in touch with one another, it's a term, doesn't mean to be physically in contact, but they need to be within a certain range. So if they're close to each other, they're more likely to receive a full activation. If they are split, so these 2 are here and 1 is here, for example, then this one is more likely to receive a partial activation. It's more likely to fail the activation check. They will still get to do something, because I don't like games in which you don't get to do anything. And that's something maybe significant. So if models stay together, they're more likely to have a range of options. They can run, they can walk and still fire, they can charge into melee, they can do different things. If they receive a partial activation, they can only move a short distance and then receive an opportunity fire token, so they're waiting for somebody to show up, or they receive a defensive stance token, which makes it more likely for them to survive. The reason for this is that I still want to add the sense of the unit. I didn't want these people to just go individually around. There wasn't a lot of tension there. But what you can do there gives you a lot of tactical flexibility at a cost. So I can keep all of these people together and they're likely to be able to do a lot of stuff. But maybe I do want to leave one person behind to guard a bottleneck. Then I'm kind of okay if that person only gets the opportunity fire. Maybe I want to send 2 people on the 2 sides of a hallway, providing covering fire, and one guy's like running forward, so you can or split to control different entrances or exits of the place. So you can do a lot of tactical things with the system, but you always have that ambiguity, that uncertainty of the crazier the tactics, the more likely it is that somebody will mess up, which also felt very, very real, very thematically appropriate. That's just it. You give people complicated plans, chances are they'll freeze up, they'll mess up, something happens. And to me, that's one of the things that I enjoyed the most when I played the game. To me, that's one of the key of the game. Other than that, well, of course, there will be combat, and the general idea is that you will roll a number of dice. based on the weapon. So the bigger, the more damaging the weapon, the more dice you roll. And the number to hit is based on the skill of the model, because the same shotgun has the same killing power, but in the hands of somebody who knows how to use it, or a green unit, well, the number to hit, the target number, varies. Plus, of course, modifiers based on terrain, based on other circumstances. Hits will result in the target getting save rolls, and of course the ones that they don't get to save, they're applied to them. I didn't want to have stacks of like life points and wound tokens and stuff like that. I want to keep it simple. So if a model who is ready to go takes a hit, they become suppressed, and if a model that is suppressed receives another hit, they're KO'd. Doesn't mean they're dead, it means that they got a punch in the face and they passed out for a couple of minutes. And sometimes the scenario, maybe in the world of the story, will only take 5 minutes of running around and fighting. So it just means that they're not available for the rest of the adventure. And that's kind of like, those are kind of basically the general main concepts. Again, with different rules based on melee, which is more brutal, with range attacks, which is, well, it's always tempting to just hide behind the cover and fire, but it may not be that effective. It may have the effect of suppressing the opponent, which is good enough, but not to take them out. And so sometimes it's really nice if you coordinate the actions. First you suppress, and then we send somebody in to deliver the final blow. So this is the idea. The game has been designed. The activation system, you have to figure out again who is in touch and out of touch and how the activation system works. That's probably the only little bump on the learning curve. But I think it gives the game a lot of tactical flavor. And then the combat system and the task system, which count how many hits you inflicted, and then how many saves, and then what is left to generate certain effects. I wanted the general script to be simple, so that then you could create and add a lot of stuff around it. And again, and the game provides you with a lot of materials that you can add. There are animals that can be added. They can be, those are partially AI in some of those, if they are wild animals, or they can trained animals that you can add to your own rosters. There are role-playing aspects, so basically you can create a background for your characters. You commit yourself to using only certain abilities that are consistent with the background of that character, and as in exchange for that commitment, you get certain other bonuses. So it makes the game more thematically rich, but at the same time, it still respects the game balance that you get a limitation and an advantage. Speaking of, I should have talked about this. Models also have different amounts of special points that can be used to buy special actions like acrobatic dodge or swinging from the chandelier. Of course, you should be able to swing from the chandelier. That's just, should go without saying. So, adrenaline surge, in the zone, mighty shove, tough skin, first aid, second chance, stand your ground, a heroic leadership, terrifying laughter. Of course, you should have the chance of a terrifying laughter. So these are all things that you can purchase spending points during the game. They're very powerful because I want the big action to be big, but you can't do them too often and they cost you every time that you use them. And again, basically, if you choose a certain background for your character, the character is good at these things specifically. So before the game begins, you commit to certain special benefits in exchange for another advantage elsewhere. And so this is the idea. The game is simple. So you have a couple of pages of rules, and then the rest is thematic materials. Again, 14 scenarios. Because I want the game to belong to you as much as it belongs to me, to be what you're gonna do with it. And this is my overview of Pulp. I had so much fun playing it, and I'm so honored, and I'm so happy that now I have an opportunity to share this game with you.